Voici le printemps.
I was wanting joy. I was wanting it so much. I just didn't know how to get there again. And it was, if you focus on joy, then joy will grow. If you focus on pain, pain grows. You can acknowledge the difficulty of it and be thankful for that experience. In your own difficult experience, can we find a meaning in it? There's a question that you can ask any negative emotion. It's, what positive lesson are you trying to teach me?
Are you ready? Are you ready to find your joy?
Live joyfully. Choose to live joyfully.
So as part of the interview experience, Meadow is feeding me. Check out this caprese burger. This is fancy burger, so I'm super excited to try this and to explore the flavor. So let's do that. Oh wow, this bun is so soft. It's like toasted on the inside. I mean, how do I eat this? I think I might just have to. Oh wow. That is incredible. Because you have this top layer that's cool with some cool tomatoes, but the bottom layer is warm. It has these really unique cheeses, and so you end up with this really cool, complex flavor. Like the cool, refreshing top and the warm, savory bottom. And you get the sweetness of the tomato and of this cheese. This is phenomenal. Oh my gosh. If you haven't gone in and tried this is in Orem, Utah. It's called Fancy Burger, just off of University Parkway. Amazing. Check out this, how they toasted this top of the bun. So good. My gosh. This isn't just about eating food, this is about having and living an experience. Honestly, this is a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna turn off the video now so I can fully enjoy the experience and savor the flavor of this burger.
There are a couple of keys that I've gained or that I've found and experienced through my recovery process that have helped me to have greater joy.
Tell us about these keys.
Okay, the key. Okay. Well, I would say the key to joy and contentment, the thing, because like I was seeking joy and contentment, like during that separation, I was wanting joy. I was wanting it so much. I just didn't know how to get there again. And it was like taking someone that's had all the life beat out of them and tell you to enjoy life when you've been pulverized into the ground and you can just kind of just sit there and do nothing. It's like, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that, but it's, and so I remember just feeling the first thing I could do was just smile. And that was back when I had a very little capacity for holding that much joy, because I was just barely bringing it back into me. And so cancer was like a wake-up call, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I think it's water.
Yeah.
I suppose what I would say to you now is to look with eyes of appreciation at your life, at everything in your life. I had an experience. Shortly after being diagnosed, I went through really severe chemo. And the chemotherapy that I was going through, it was like the strongest kind that you can have. And what happens with that chemo is it ends up kind of lodging, like it ends up depositing in the ends of your fingers and toes, in those little capillary beds. And so what it does there is it kills all the nerves. And so it's like kind of destroying the fingers and toes. And what happened to me is, so all my fingernails began to lift up off my fingers. and they were bleeding, and they were bruised, black and blue, and pus was oozing out of my fingers and toes underneath the nail beds. It felt like someone was literally just sticking stuff in between my nail. Like, it was so painful. It was excruciatingly painful, and I was able to experience still a fullness of joy and experience bliss while I was going through that experience. And it's all about what you focus on. If you focus on joy, then joy will grow. If you focus on pain, pain grows. So what is your attention on? So for me, I was working during that time. I was working on a movie set doing the costumes. And what did I focus on? I could hardly do anything with my fingers. Like, I couldn't button buttons. I was just like, ah. But nobody knew that I was hurting. Like, no one had any clue what was going on in my body. I was having such a great time on set. I was loving and having that joie de vivre in every moment of my living, enjoying the costumes, enjoying the people, enjoying every part of the experience, right? And there's always a full cup. In the darkest dark, there's always a full cup. So if you focus on the full cup and not the empty cup, like, there's something so beautiful about that. Like, looking with eyes of appreciation. So that's what I would do while I was in that pain. I would focus on all these other things.
When you say a full cup, what does that mean? Can you
like a glass half full, glass half empty. Some people say have the same exact. So if you were to have the same exact thing, like, and same glass, and one's half full, one's half, somebody would look at the same glass and say, oh, that's half full. Right. Another person would say, oh, that's half empty. Uh-huh. So it's to look meanly on it and to criticize it or to find that it's not full. Uh-huh. It's the same thing. You could live my life and be completely dissatisfied, or you could live my life and have a fullness of joy in it, and it could be the most wonderful thing in the world.
You talk about, though, a full cup.
There's always a full cup. If you're looking at it that way, if you choose to view the world with eyes of appreciation, if you choose to, for instance, right now, we could focus on, you could cast it as a negative experience. Oh my gosh, I'm tired, I worked all night last night, I just want to sleep, blah, 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 blah. I could go there. Or I could go, isn't it a miracle that I'm here today, that I'm alive, that I have my heart, appreciate my heart, appreciate my face and my eyes, that I can see the light coming in my restaurant. It's a beautiful opportunity to talk to another human being. I get to create joy in the kitchen and give people a nurturing, like, soothing experience with food, right? To create bliss and reprieve. That's what I'm here. That's why I created a restaurant, to create moments of joie de vivre for other people, so they can have reprieve from the stresses of life and take off the loads and just enjoy living for a minute.
I love that. I talk about something called active gratitude, because it isn't just about writing a list of things you're grateful for. It's about finding the thing you're grateful for and allowing that gratitude to fill you to a fullness, right?
Yeah. To feel the appreciation. So, and there's a lot of things to appreciate. There's color, there's sound, there's, a plethora.
Yep.
I need my water. I have this giant thing of water because I have to drink so much water all the time.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Maybe sometimes seeing life with new eyes, right? And appreciating the colors that we see, like you said, appreciating the sounds that we hear, and the connection and the interaction with people. This concept. This concept, if you were to wake up not having, if you were to wake up not knowing anything about your experience, and suddenly you were just to come into awareness of your moment, having that kind of new eyes. It's like, oh my gosh, I have these beautiful kids. They're amazing. Oh my gosh, look at my body and how it works. Look how I can run. Look how I can walk. Or even if those aren't there, look what I can create.
Yeah. And also another key is to thank for the difficulty. So another chemo experience is like one of my first moments of getting chemotherapy, I remember that there's a moment where you kind of have to break down and thank for the agony in the body.
Okay.
You know, so if you were in a lot of agony, if you were in physical pain, could you thank for the experience of, like, I'll just say, because I remember feeling this terrible burning in my arm because I had intravenous, so the cancer, like the chemo was in my arm, strong, like more than any other part. I felt like right then, so it was like thanking for the burning in my arm, and for me, because I had this strong Christian belief, I thanked God. I said, thank you for the experience of this pain in my arm. And thank you for the experience of this pain, you know, and in my fingers. And I would focus on other things other than the pain, but I would also, there's also a point where you can acknowledge the pain and acknowledge the experience of it. You can acknowledge the difficulty of it and be thankful for that experience. And you can also take care of yourself and seek relief from those things. It's not to neglect oneself, but it's to not resist the experience and to allow a sort of allowance for that experience and to honor the experience.
So to thank the pain, why do you thank the pain? Like, is it, like, talk to me more about that.
I think it's like a bitter pill that a spoonful of, just a spoonful. So the positivity, the submission, the allowing, the permission that you give to say, okay, this is my experience. And instead of to resist or push it away or be angry, is to allow that experience to come through all of you, right? So by thanking, you, there's sort of a submission that happens within oneself to thank for all things. And there's a scripture that there's a book of scripture that has a verse in it that says, "He that is thankful in all things shall be made glorious." And so, I mean, there's so much also beautiful people in the world that teach us about gratitude and about the effect that it has, but are just appreciating the small things, like appreciating the comfort of your bed in the morning, appreciating, like right now, I can just appreciate, oh, this luxurious skin that I have, and enjoy the physical experience that we're having. I mean, it could be, if you think about it a lot worse, as about something difficult, there are people out there having much more difficult experiences than you're having. That can help you, but also even in your own difficult experience, can we find a meaning in it? Yes. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what allowed me to get past my difficult circumstances that I was in, trying to save the marriage and it wouldn't be saved, and circumstances got worse.
Thanks for coming in, dear. Good, I'm so glad.
But in my experience, one of the things that got me through the memory of that event was realizing that because I found my joy, I could make it my mission to bring other people joy. And suddenly what became like a miserable experience now became a consecrated, holy experience, a sanctifying experience, because it allows me to bring that to life, right? Bring joy into the world for others. Mm-hmm. And I find that some of our most miserable experiences can actually lead to victory.
Yeah.
And directly, those things can directly lead to our joy greater than we could possibly imagine, right?
I love that.
There was a woman who I did life coaching with, started out as business coaching, ended up being more life coaching. She was high up executive in an organization, and she was very successful, but she struggled with men, and she wanted to address that. And And it came down to when she was in high school, she made a really bad decision. One night she went out and did something pretty stupid. And when she got home, her dad really laid into her and just kind of yelled at her. How could you do that? That was really, and he was right to talk to her about it. But I don't know if how he talked to her about it was right, but he ended up passing away like less than a week later. And it just devastated her because in her mind, she was stuck in that she was angry at that he was angry at her. And so she made it her goal to show how strong she could be and how she could achieve. And her life mission became to help other women succeed. And it brought her great joy, but she was still stuck in this moment. So we revisit that moment, but with a new lens, right? Rewriting your past for your future is what I call it, right? So saying, okay, so I understand that this happened, we talked about it, said, how did that affect your life today? And suddenly there was a moment of realization that painful moment actually led her to becoming the woman she is and having the success she's had and blessing so many people. And suddenly the perspective shifted and she realized that moment was actually a gift because it made her into who she became. And I said, seeing what you've done and what you've accomplished, what do you think your dad would say now? And she broke down in tears and said, I think he would be so proud of me. So we actually went through like a visualization of her dad telling her that, and she cried tears of joy.
That was beautiful.
And her business increased, like her capacity to succeed increased. She reconnected with her son, who she had a struggle with, and she'd been divorced for years. She started dating again, and she found a wonderful man, got married in like less than a year later, or about a year later. And all of this because she was able to find that point of that traumatic moment, but find meaning in it and find how it affected her life in positive ways. And so, right, I love that concept of how do we create meaning. So for you, what was the meaning that came out of some of your struggles, your cancer, your abusive marriage, those kind of things?
Well, I'm gonna go to my present moment and talk about. So just a minute ago when we were talking, and I was showing you how I can focus on negative. Well, I also want to say that a lot of times, like meaning, there's also messages in negative. So, for instance, if I was to focus on any negative emotion in my body, what would I, like I was saying, I could be, to be present to me myself right now, I feel that, to acknowledge that I might feel some exhaustion. Right? So if it was me, yes, it is me. Okay, I would write on the exhaustion, right? I have a process that I do with my negative emotions.
Okay, yeah, tell us.
So I'd write exhaustion. I'd write, there's a question that you can ask any negative emotion. It's, what positive lesson are you trying to teach me? So my exhaustion might be like, oh, wow, I'm trying to teach you that you need to not stay up so late. or that it's okay to prioritize yourself and say no to more things so that you can be in bed earlier. You know what I mean? There's a whole little pocket of information, and that's part of prioritizing our love for ourselves and our self-care. Like I might say, Meadow, I understand you, Meadow. I understand how you're craving this or that, so you stayed up later to do that. Or I understand that you're trying to put your life in order, so you stayed up later cleaning. And I understand that, you're just trying to make your way in this world, so I'm going to give you a lot of grace for that, and it's okay. But I'm sorry that you're tired today, or I'm sorry that you're exhausted. How can we change that? How can we fix that, right? So it's like, it's not something to be stuffed, or, I could talk to myself in those fingers, say, I'm so proud of how you're handling this experience with your fingers. I'm so proud of how you're choosing gratitude. I'm so proud that you took that as a challenge to see if you could actually experience bliss while you're in agonizing pain. That's what you wanted. You wanted that challenge. Here it is, and you're passing. Good job. It's okay. It's okay if you need to break down and cry and just say that your fingers hurt. That's okay too, right? Like, so I'm saying that we can't just, or it's appropriate to acknowledge the feelings that we're experiencing, and it's appropriate to process them and to acknowledge both sides of the coin, dark and light, negative and positive, at all times, because that's just what we came here for. I mean, we choose joy, but there's an inherent opposition to joy, and there's an inherent, like, not every moment is going to be a beaming, shining moment. Some of it you might be bored, or, but we have just such a great degree of control over our life. We get to create it. We create it with how we think. We create it with the resonance and the vibration. We can call things into our space by being thankful for them, and because that gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. Joe Dispenza teaches that. I love Joe Dispenza. I got to learn how to meditate from him in Spain, which was way cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So what you're saying then, this process is acknowledging the negative things that you're feeling, writing them down, but instead of, so we don't stuff those, but instead of dwelling on the dark side of them, giving yourself compassion.
Yeah.
So you actually talk yourself through it, like giving yourself grace or understanding, but then also, what can we do about this?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
What positive lesson are you trying to teach me?
So it isn't just what you can do, but what positive lesson?
Is that experience trying to teach me? Yeah. And there's a process I do that there's a couple more questions that I ask after that as well, like, and that is helpful. So there's a little process that I do with that that's helpful to me, and then also just that acknowledging, and then being present, and then that key which we talked about, which was the gratitude. It's that key to joy and contentedness is appreciation.
Yeah.
And you'll find if you live with eyes of appreciation, your life becomes rich, and it becomes more beautiful, and becomes happier and more fulfilling, even regardless of the general circumstances. And I also believe that we're fully capable of changing our circumstances and rewriting things from the ground up, and rewriting our deepest beliefs about ourselves and our world around us is also a positive way. And I had to do a lot of that to overcome cancer. I mean, on the path of recovery is kind of like rewriting and the upheaval of processing through negative emotion and rewriting from the ground up, if that makes any sense.
Talk to me about that. What is that process? What
Well,
did that process?
I think the emotion that I experienced from the marriage needed to be released out of the body. So like the transfer of energy, I suppose, because my body needed to recover from all of that. And so I've been nurturing it and working on it, and it was very overwhelming at first. And that's another reason why I went straight to like these moments of high-pitched joy, of like dancing with other people, because I loved people, and I'm kind of an extreme extrovert, I suppose.
Yeah,
so I can
extrovert.
I can love anybody, just anybody that comes in my path. Generally, I love them.
Yeah, which makes me think of something else. I believe that to find that full capacity of joy, there's different stages, right? There's training our brain through joy practices to think joyfully, right? But then there's also building a foundation for a joyful life. With part of that being finding our special, unique gifts, and then using those gifts to serve other people.